Yes. All right, we're back. And all right, everybody, that was awesome. We just did an entire show live with no audio. So we're just going to do it again. I'm sure it won't be the same show we had before, but it'll be a new show. It'll be a better show. Kyle is the ultimate in good sports. That one was completely my fault. Believe it or not, there was one button that I didn't click because prior to this show, we were testing some new technology to help us with the audio delay that we've been having in our recent episodes. And doing that testing 15 minutes before a show, bad idea. You don't want to do that right before you have a live show because then you will actually probably forget to set something up just like we did. So I'm going to hand this back over to you, Kyle, to kick off Season 1, Episode 3, Digitized Live. Cue us up.
Thank you, Kent. Welcome back, everybody. We're excited to be here. Doing 2 shows in one day is an absolute treat. So welcome to Digitized Live. This is all about unlocking your digital potential. And if you've been watching the other shows, you will notice that what Kent and I, my fellow amazing co-host, what we and I have been discussing are how you can start to find and activate your digital potential in a world, especially right now, where we are being really like a forcing function to be put online a lot more, to really understand our digital capabilities. This show is designed to help bring tools, tips, ideas, methodologies, and also just sharing, honest, open sharing of Kent and myself and people in our world of what it's like to digitize your life and unlock your digital potential. So today's show is all around going a little deeper on certain key points. We've been receiving some feedback from viewers. We have been receiving some folk in the chat box. We have been receiving some emails offline as well about people watching, sharing some of their learnings and discoveries from our show, but also about ideas and things that they would like for us to go a little deeper on. So what we want to do is click down into some specific things about what does it now mean for you to actually start to digitize your life? What are some topics that we can dig into? So Kent and I are going to flip-flop between each other. We've got a couple different things to kick off with. So Kent, any other thought starters on as we kick off about today's topic, or should we get started?
No, I think we should dive right in. Let's try to get through a few tips of what anybody might do that's just getting started with this whole concept of having to all of a sudden, work from home, be digital, and do all these things. Kyle, you go first today, and then I've got one I think that's probably complementary to what you're going to get into. But yeah, let's do it that way.
Great. So my first tip, because I will openly say that Kent is the technology genius here. He is the one who really understands all the ins and outs of what's going on in terms of the real technology. He's been a great mentor and guide to myself as well. For myself, it's how do you start to bring your best self to this digital experience? So my very, very first tip here is about your digital work area and how you show up to it. One of the things that we've absolutely noticed that is almost an epidemic is around stress and burnout and fatigue in the body is just how we are bent over, squashed up in our space, locked into the screen, locked into our phones for hours and hours and hours on end in this digital world. It isn't how we would operate in the normal world, right? It's not the way that we interact with people or families or walk around in stores, but now we're down, kind of all hunched, all locked in. So my very first tip that I want to get into is around your posture, is around your, and I can imagine everybody's going to start straightening up, which I'll just do right now as well, which is this idea of your posture, about where your computer is positioned in terms of your eye line. It's about how you're sitting, where you're sitting, and creating a really comfortable space where you may be sitting for long lengths of time, but where you're also able to allow your body to be open and allow yourself to be present to your digital interfaces. Because one of the things is we've got to get oxygen, we've got to get blood flow, we have to get presence, because when we're hunched up and we're not taking in oxygen, our effectiveness in terms of how we think and how we operate actually decreases. So your work area as well, I know myself, And Ken, we're, and I'm sure everybody else watching this is now navigating this new environment with our kids being home, and we all sort of on top of each other, in our spaces, which is how do you also create a very comfortable and safe environment for you to do your most effective work where you can be present. So my very first tip here is really get acknowledgement of your posture, how you're sitting, where you're sitting, how you've laid out your technology and your infrastructure to be comfortable. And one of the things is try be in proximity to natural light, to being able to adjust your eyes from not just looking at a screen like we are right now, but to also looking out of a window, looking far as you can go, adjusting your eyesight, as well as being able to come back here and actually have some natural light versus just whether you are lit on your desk with your computer lights or whether you are just in an office lights. You want to be able to have some natural light as well. So that'll be my very first tip. It's really, really about your area and about your posture.
That's great. Kyle, I actually have a setup here where I can stand up or sit down. In terms of my physical space, this was one of the best things I ever did for myself. One of the funny things I learned, though, really quickly is I developed a lot of empathy for people who work at the grocery store at the checkout lane because I was on my feet 8-9 hours, and I really started to feel that. And I got just a pair of shoes, tennis shoes, really comfortable running shoes to wear just when I'm in my office because I have a hard tile floor. The other thing you can, of course, do is put down flooring that's soft as well. But those little things, they make a huge difference. But that's just building on yours. My first tip, my number one tip, I think, for all of this came from one of our viewers and a colleague of mine who does a lot of design work for us and for me. His name's Daniel Serrano. He's in Medellin, Colombia, and runs a company called Ampersand. What Daniel said to me yesterday, it really struck me because he said, with all of this COVID-19 stuff, quarantines, shelter in place, I thought I would have a lot more time for myself. But in fact, it's been the exact opposite. I have much less time for myself. I'm so busy. And now, like me, his work is already kind of at a computer. It's already very digital. And in his case, most of it is very distributed, as is mine. But what he was talking about was time and management of time. It turns out that if you work 24/7, 365, that's not healthy. So you have to make time to sleep. You have to make time for your family. So my number one tip is about managing your own time and taking a moment to be extra careful about how you set up your day. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself getting text messages all hours of the day because your work by its very nature can now become more global. This is one of the upside potentials of going digital. It's no longer about who's next door or in the same room with you. Kyle and I, right now, he's several miles away. We are both in Northern California in our case, but we are not in the same studio. He's in his home office studio. I'm in my home office studio, many miles apart, having this conversation with you wherever you may be. So really take a minute to think, okay, when do I want to sleep? When do I want to be with my family? Do your best to have regular meal times. Just really build that structure in time into your day because you will find, just like Danielle was expressing to me, and I also have found myself lately in particular having the same issue of it just never ending. Like the workday never ends. It's not like when you used to go to your office. You get there, you sit down at your desk, you do your work for the day. At some point, the day ends. Maybe you had a happy hour before. Now your happy hour is at the kitchen table here. But there's no real boundary anymore. One thing just flows into the next and flows into the next. So manage your time. That's number one for me.
Yeah, Ken, building on that, we were chatting about this offline that we'd spent some time with a sleep expert who had shared that the average amount of sleep that if we want to be very high performing and the most effective during that day is around 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And I know that some of us, as you hear that, could be laughing, which is, I know for myself, I was more like a 4 to 5, hours a sleeper guy until recently. because I started to take the advice very, very seriously. What they said is that if you just shift from 7 hours to 6 hours of sleep a night, you actually lose about 30% of your ability to be effective and efficient and high performing during the day. 30%, that's a lot just from 1 hour of sleep. So keep reducing that and you can see how crazy that is. So follow those points from Kent, which is it's really, really critical to have a plan and follow that plan, and get your sleep, because sleep is so critical. That allows your brain to recharge and just get your eyes away from looking at digital interfaces. As much as we're going to be online so much more, striking that balance is going to be super critical.
Absolutely. What would your next point be, Kyle?
Yeah, my next point, Kent, is going to be around. This was an interesting thing that happened to us just over the last weekend, was that we started to experience the beginning signs of getting a hack on our business system. And so that was a really, really important re-acknowledgement. And we have a pretty strong system. We deal with a lot of sensitive data. So security is paramount for us. So any of our clients watching always know that that's top of our game, and we respond and very, very quickly to that. So when we just noted some beginning signs, there was nothing crazy, but it was just like, these are odd behaviors that aren't ours, so let's just shut that down straight away. What I realized is that, for anybody working in the digital realm, especially now more so than ever, if you want to be more productive, be more efficient, and even, unlock more of that potential for yourself, you want to start regularly updating any of the software and hardware that you are working on. Technology is improving on a daily basis. Software is improving on a daily basis. There are reams and teams of very smart people in all these companies who are trying to fix and solve problems in real time every day. Those updates that come out, or even though we might get comfortable with some of them, those updates that come out are actually for our benefit. They also help ward off any types of attacks and security issues, because the older systems are people who spend more time being able to figure out how to crack them. So the more that we're updated, the more that we refreshed in our system, super, super critical. So for anybody watching this, make sure you get on and download and update those things. The other thing is, when last did you actually change your passwords? When last did you do that? How many of you had the same email password for your whole life? It's one of those things, or your logins, or any of those kinds of things. That in itself is also critical. There's more sophisticated technologies and encryptions and things like that are showing up. But for yourselves, you want to get into a regular practice of, it's like you're not just going to hand out your front door key to anybody, right? So one of the things here is, the more people that get to understand who you are, how you work, or are watching you work on your stuff, or if it's very basic things that you started out with, the more basic your passwords and systems are these days, the easier they are to be susceptible to those types of hack attempts. So I highly recommend that you are updating your software and hardware, that you're updating your passwords, and that you're keeping yourself protected. And remember, this is actually for your benefit, because it keeps you in line with what's going on. It keeps you refreshed. It keeps you being mindful about your stuff, especially your digital interface, that'll be my next really big tip. How about you, Ken?
I was just realizing why you pinged me the other day and asked me, where do you keep your passwords? And so now I've got it, because you haven't changed your passwords for your whole life. No, I hope not. No, but just teasing. I know better. But no, it's a really good point. So what I would tell people, just to build on that a little, is go out and take a look at these pieces of software like LastPass or 1Password. But just a quick word to the wise, it'll ask you for a master password to your passwords. Don't lose that. You lose that, you lose all your passwords. They can't help you get it back. So you need to make sure that you take precautions. And there's things you can do with your business partners or your family or someone to help you, just in case something happens and you do lose that master password, so you can recover. But just make sure you pay extra special attention to that particular piece. So my next one, and I guess our fourth one here today, would be about sort of this whole comfort level with going live. And I was just sort of reminiscing with myself about a story from one of our very first episodes, the first episode of this show, when I said, okay, we're about to go live. And you said, oh, I feel a little nervous. And I thought that was hilarious because, I mean, you stand on stage oftentimes, historically, in front of thousands of people. And you're not the only person who said this to me. We have a new client, Digitized has a new client that they're going to work with that regularly gets on stage in front of as many as tens of thousands of people. He says, gosh, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't feel like I understand. And as he goes through that journey, I think we'll have him come on here as a guest as well, so we can put him here between us over here somewhere, and we'll talk to him. And but the point is, you're always going to feel that way when you do something new, and this is really, really new for pretty much everybody. Not everybody has been live streaming on YouTube. I'll tell you, the people who got this right sooner than almost anybody were gamers. If you go look at networks like Twitch and YouTube, you'll find loads of game streamers. And so they've just been doing this longer than any of us, and we learn from them as well. I mean, you know, Kyle, my own son, has his own live streaming channel on YouTube. He's 10 years old, so, you know, you can go check it out and see what he likes to teach the world about playing games like Zelda and Minecraft. But the number one tip, and the actual tip here, is go live. I know that sounds a bit silly, but just go live, because you will feel awkward the first time. You may even feel awkward the second or third time. Or you might do weird things like I just did about an hour ago when I took us live and didn't have the audio feed turned on. So we did a whole live show with no audio, which has now been hidden from all of you, and this is the new one. So see, you can make mistakes, you can go live, you can just own it and figure it out. That's life. I never had any part of my life that was perfect every time I went through it the first time. So I'm sure that just like a lot of you going live, your first time is going to be a lot like your first kiss, and you're going to have no idea what you're doing. You're going to be really uncomfortable, and you're going to wonder if you did it right when you're done. But, you know, here we are. You know, nonetheless, that's life. Go live. Just get it done. If you need help, ask us. We want to know what problems and challenges, and we'll do our best to share what we can about this. And you know, when you see a show like this one where you've got two guests coming in from two physical locations, animated backgrounds, logos up there somewhere, that's more than just, you know, live streaming something really simply. There's a little bit more that goes into this. So that's kind of a 201 course, not a 101 course. So don't hold yourself to that. Just get your YouTube channel, apply to make it go live, and stream something. If that's too much, just do a FaceTime call, a live Zoom call. You know, again, just go live. What do you think on that one, Kyle?
It's such an important point. It's such an important point. You know, you and I were reminiscing about this a little, and we were saying that one of the highest, most scariest things in people's lives is public speaking. I mean, for anybody watching this, how many of you actually like to get on a stage in front of a whole bunch of people that you don't know and share yourself, like share topics? You know, some will say, I thrive in it, but most, it's like one of the scariest things in people's lives. The other scary thing that takes that to a whole nother level is being live on camera. When it captures you, when you're recorded, when you see everything, where somebody can stop, rewind, play, you know, edit, take something out, meme it, you know, change it, distribute it, send it all over the place. What it requires for us to be is on. It requires us to be thoughtful about what we want to say. It requires us to be very comfortable in our skin appearance, all those kinds of things where, you know, when we take a picture or we're able to spend some time curating, it's very different than this live, the blemishes. It's a very honest and revealing thing. We have a thing in some of our creativity workshops where we film a bunch of people running an ideation session and then play the video back to them. The reason why we do that is because the video never lies. It never lies about what's really going on and how we see ourselves. And so that's one of the biggest things that I think people are afraid of, or that just, it's like scary. Like, we had a client call yesterday and the whole team is, you know, working from home, this client group that we're working with, and being remote's kind of new for them. One of them just refuses to put her camera on every single time. She just won't do it, you know, and it's just not something that they're comfortable with yet. And it's going to take some time. So go live, practice, get yourself out there. Ken and I are here to help you. Ping us. We're coaching and helping other clients through this. Just how do you optimize and bring your best self, bring your energy, bring your personality, bring yourself to this digital environment where if somebody is recording or you got one shot at it, that you're okay with whatever you delivered, or how do you get even better prepared to be able to deliver that even more. But go live. I absolutely agree, Ken. Go live.
Thank you. So, hey, Kyle, we're coming into our last 4 or 5 minutes here. I think that what we want to do at the end of each show, we've been talking about this a lot, and we've been listening to the feedback we've been getting from people. Just a couple of notes about the show format. We do this live, just like we've just said, and for better or for worse. Then we take that and we pull highlight reels later when we get the recording. Those highlights we're publishing onto the channel regularly. Additionally, what you may or may not know yet is that we're doing sort of topic-based pre-recorded releases. We're trying to do a couple of those a week and release 1 or 2 a week. And then we also take highlights out of those. So these highlights are the best thing that we think happened in any given live show or pre-recorded show, so we can share those in little bite-sized chunks. Often they're even too short for YouTube to insert ads and things like that. But it doesn't really matter because that's not the point. The point is to get these really bite-sized chunks of information out to you that come, even if you don't have time to listen to a whole show. The other thing is that as a YouTube channel, one of the things that helps us get this out to more people is if you like it, click there's a little thumb thing there. Just click that. And if you subscribe, then you'll be notified. Yeah, right there. I think, Kyle, I think
it's below me.
No, I think we're gonna put it up there. We're gonna have we'll have a little duel here. I don't know where the subscribe button's gonna show up, but you should just click that thing, because then when we schedule our next live show, which will be next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, you'll get a little notification when we post new content. It'll show up kind of at the top of your YouTube feed, and we're going to look into where all this content can go. So we're posting it out on the clips, especially on Instagram and Twitter and other places. And we'll take any suggestions you might have. So like it, click subscribe. If it's up there, I think it's going to be up there. We'll see. And let us know what you need. I think that's the easiest way I could say it, is just ask you, what do you need? You're trying to go digital. What's working for you? What's not working for you? If you do go live, share it with us. We would love to see it so that we can learn from you too.
Yeah, Ken, excellent. So, Digitized Live. This show is for you. This is about unlocking your digital potential. This is about empowering you with ideas, tools, methodologies, and musings. Between myself and Kent, who are in this world very deeply in many different ways, we want to bring a lot of this content to you, as Kent was saying. Digitized Live, unlocking your digital potential, getting you efficient, getting you empowered, getting you moving forward. It's been such a pleasure to be with you guys again today. We are very excited for the next live show. Please keep a lookout for the bite sizes of really good topics that Kent and I are pre-recording as well. This channel will be filled up with really empowering content. Leave some comments. Let us know what you think. If there's any other topics you want us to discuss, please let us know. This show is for you. So stay safe out there. Have an amazing time. And remember, we all have a digital version of ourselves waiting to come out. So unlock your digital potential. See you next time.